Welcome to PowerBoat Television. I'm Andrew Hall.
Hey! What? My line. Welcome to PowerBoat Television. I'm Stephen Bull, and this is my guest, Andrew Hall, is joining us this week for a Southern Canadian adventure on Yamaha Waverunners. Since Andrew, one of my best friends for 30 years, was only able to get a couple days off work, he wasn't able to come to Florida, but we're going to do all the fun, beachy stuff we can without leaving Canada. After picking up the Waverunners from Yamaha, it was a few hours of driving and Andrew begging for a shirt before arriving at Leamington Municipal Marina.
Still think I should get a PowerBoat shirt?
You're not getting a PowerBoat TV shirt.
You said I was going to.
I said you're getting a shirt. You can wear that.
What is this?
I'm wearing one too. We're heading south. Beachwear. Once we were prepped, it was on to the Waverunners. Oh. It was almost perfectly synchronized until you dropped your line.
Oh, you got the little flip maneuver, eh? That's how the pros do it.
You get there one day, buddy. Ready to rock, and it was time to splash them. And luckily the ramp wasn't too busy today, so we didn't have to wait. In spite of the gloomy clouds, it was actually quite hot, and the weather guessers had promised it would soon clear up. Leamington, as nice as this marina is not our destination, but simply our launch pad, and where we'll be leaving our truck and trailer for a few days, which anyone can do for a small fee. Yamaha's ride system makes reversing and spinning in tight spots like launch ramps easy, even for someone like Andrew who's never used it before. And we're off, putting past the big boats you normally think of for big water and out into Lake Erie. Once clear of the brake wall, it's onto the throttle, a 90-degree turn to starboard, and head nearly due south for our final destination. All totaled, we have 13.5 nautical miles, or 25 kilometers to go from Leamington to Scudder Marina on the north shore of Pelee Island, the southernmost community in Canada. There's a small airport, and it's a popular destination for cruisers, but most people take the large ferry that runs from Kingsville on the mainland to the west side of the island from spring to fall, which is what our cameraman took. On the one hand, it was to get shots of the vessel for this episode. On the other hand, we could have taken him. These are 3-person machines after all, and there is 90 liters of storage on board. But then again, Lake Erie is notorious for being as temperamental as a teenager 5 minutes before curfew. It can go from totally chilled out to a raging hot mess fast because even though it's one of the Great Lakes and thus massive, it's the shallowest and waves can easily get whipped up. The weather did turn, but for the better, and by the time we arrived at the island, the clouds had mostly burned off. Scudder is a small, but as you can see, well-kept marina, with both Canadians and Americans. It has plenty of slips for transients, including Waverunners. And with our major journey sorted, we're going to call it a day. Coming up later in the show, we get a look at Canada's southernmost winery, and we explore the beaches of Pelee Island. Welcome back to Pelee Island, a popular place for day trips, but also a place where people like to spend a few days, as we are. And we opted to stay at the highly recommended Wandering Pheasant Inn. It's a vintage lodge, one of the oldest on the island, dating back to the 1800s, and bills itself as Canada's southernmost inn. It's not on the water, but a very short walk from it. No visit to Pelee Island is complete without a visit to Canada's southernmost winery. Pelee Island Vineyards has been in business about 35, 40 years, but grape growing and wine cultivation on this island is much older than that. Well over a century, almost 150 years of wine tradition. And that's because we're so far south, we're on the same latitude as many places in the world, even Italy. In fact, where I'm standing right here, almost the exact same latitude as Rome.
And when in Rome.
I said we're not doing the toga thing.
Oh, come on, no PowerBoat Television t-shirt makes me
When
look
he
like an
changes
idiot.
into your non-PowerBoat TV shirt, we'll go check out the winery.
If you look at the wine regions for Ontario, there's Niagara, Prince Edward County, Lake Erie North Shore, and then Pelee Island counts as its own region, even though it's only 9 miles by 5 miles, you know.
During the tour, we learned that Pelee Island Winery is Canada's largest estate winery and one of the most unique. The center of the island is low and flat, creating a hot microclimate.
This is actually one of the region of Ontario that gets the least rain, so it's actually the best for wine in that way.
Wine from Pelee Island won the first ever medal for North America in a blind tasting competition in Europe, claiming bronze in the 1871 Paris World Fair. All that history can make a tourist hungry, so we ducked out and let the tour continue without our camera around. We were the first on the patio for lunch. I'm not sure the southernmost pulled pork sandwiches in Canada counts for anything, but we had them. With our dose of history and our lunch out of the way, we headed back up to Scudder Marina on the North Shore to our waiting Waverunners. Andrew was intent to set foot on every one of the public beaches he could, which slowed us down considerably, but hey, part of the Waverunner fun is that you can take them just about anywhere, and they can be beached, so why not? After once again displaying my lack of frisbee prowess for the camera, we hopped back on our rides and headed out. We spent most of the afternoon enjoying the surprisingly flat waters on the western side of Lake Erie. But as the sun started sinking, we decided we need to hit one last beach and soak up the view. What do you think?
Pretty sweet, man. The only thing missing? Could go for a cocktail.
Well, we still got to take these back to the marina, and you should never drink and boat. How about a mocktail, though?
Next best thing.
Sit tight. Boom, bam.
Where'd this come from?
Never question it. The beach party didn't have to make sense.
Cheers.
Besides, didn't you wear a toga earlier?
I don't know what you're talking about.
With that sorted, we're out of here. It's a short cruise back to the marina, and at sunset, doesn't get much better than this. Still to come, we trade our Waverunners for a more traditional form of Pelee Island transportation, and then we have the long run back to mainland, but not before going as far south as is geographically possible in Canada. Welcome back to Pelee Island, and as much fun as the water is, you'll be missing out on a popular pastime of these parts if you don't do a bike tour. And as you tour around the island, you'll see a lot packed into a small place, ranging from marshland to working farms to lakefront cottages. This is surely a place with a lot of soul. Get it? Either way, your appreciation of Pelee will sneaker up on you. Nailed it. You can rent just about any type of bicycle here, even trikes for adults, and electric bikes so you don't have to pedal the whole time. But if that's not quite what you had in mind, there's still another option. You're still pedaling, right?
Totally.
Team building exercise complete. It was time for one last rip around the island before heading home. Our goal was to head out around the northwest corner of Pelee Island and fly down the western shore, past the ferry dock, down to Fish Point Provincial Nature Reserve. Even though there was a decent east wind blowing, the island proved the perfect shelter, and we skimmed along the water at nearly top speed. Both Andrew on the VX Deluxe and myself on the VX Cruiser were very comfortable cruising along at 40 miles an hour. Even staying well offshore, wildlife is everywhere, which can be a bit scary if you find yourself in the middle of a feeding frenzy. But wherever possible, steer clear of birds. This narrow strip of sand is the point in Fish Point, and thanks to the Yamaha Waverunners, we can get quite close. But there's still a little bit more of Canada south of us. Middle Island is so far south that 27 US states lie entirely or partially north of it. Here, we had about a 3.5 kilometer run unprotected by the island, so the rollers were big. We did it! Right behind us, the southernmost part of land of Canada, but it's a protected conservation area, so this is as close as we're gonna get, let all the wildlife be. And with that, we'll call our southern adventure a success, and it's time to head back to Leamington. About an hour later, we're back loading up the trailer, and our island adventure is over. Well, Andrew was still holding out hope for a souvenir. Hey, see that PowerBoat TV shirt on the back seat?
Yeah.
You wanna grab it for me?
Is it for me?
Oh, for me. You're not getting it. But you still got that sweet toga.
Toga, toga, toga.